Another episode of SVT. I am back. I am the T in the SVT, if you guys don't already know. Daniel filled in for us last week. I just want to say thank you, Daniel. You did an amazing job last week. I appreciate you filling in for me there for me and for the rest of our team here. So appreciate all of that, and he'll be back in future episodes, guys. And yeah, so look forward to have you guys everyone back here. How you doing, Sam? How you doing, Vince?
I'm good.
Yeah, everything's good, nice and toasty here in the
Yeah,
East Bay. Uh,
yeah,
so if you hear fans behind us, apologies, but we,
yeah.
we need to stay alive instead of
It's
yeah.
super
It's
hot.
Yeah.
hot. It's so hot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've got a lot on the docket here. Let's just get into it. You know who's not doing good right now? Women's national soccer.
Yeah,
What
they
happened?
So the U.S. women's national team, they get to the knockout stage. We talked about it last week, how they just needed to win or draw to advance to the knockout stage. They barely drew. They escaped a shot off the post in like the 92nd minute to advance. They get to the knockout stage, round of 16. They draw Sweden, and Sweden's goalkeeper Musovic had basically the game of her life. She made 11 saves. U.S. women had 22 shots total, 11 on goal. Not one of them got past Musovic, and there was three or four of them, especially that any keeper on any other day is letting through. But it was not meant to be. The game ends up going to the penalty, and it takes 7 rounds of penalty. But Sweden ends up advancing on 5-4 on the penalty kick. Alyssa Nair was a millimeter away from making basically 2 saves on one on the final shot. She gets her paw on it. It pops up off of the post and comes back down, and she swats it away again. But they go to VAR, and it shows that the ball crossed over entirely over the line by a millimeter or two. Like, it is the closest thing I've ever seen, but it definitely did cross according to the tech. And that's all you can really say at that point. It's like, well, damn, it really sucks to lose that way. The team actually played really well. They just couldn't find the finishing touch. And the later the game went, the more I was getting nervous. I was like, they better start scoring. Like, I think around the 65th minute, I was like, if they don't put one in soon, like, this is gonna end up not going well. So
Yeah, you're a madman. I think you were up at 2 a.m. to watch that game too, which is
oh
crazy.
yeah, I'm a madman. Yeah, that was me. I was ready to go. I just didn't like, especially the way the game went, like the way it turned out. If I would have woken up to see that alert, I'd have been so pissed. Um, like, because I would have been awake before 7 a.m. anyway, because that's just how my body works. So I woke up at like 1:50, and I turned the game on at 2 and just kind of watched it, and yeah, I had some
Yeah,
nachos and away I went.
I would think that USA being so heavily favored, man, there's got to be a gigantic target on their back, and I felt like me watching some of those games. No offense to Vietnam or anything, but even Vietnam, I think that defensively there was some glaring issues. But yeah, I think U.S. women's national team got a wake up call that the world is privy to them, and they're here to compete and not just be second best to us now. So there's a lot of work to be done. I think defensively is probably where I would start first. I think their
Um,
offensive line is cohesive enough, but
I
defensively
would
rough.
I would actually say where they need to start first is getting a new head coach. Vlatko just he's not
Yeah,
the dude. Like, it's just whatever he's trying to do, it's not working. It's not meshing with the talent that they have. And I want to shout out Trinity Rodman, who basically was on a minutes restriction, and she played. Basically, she did everything except put the ball in the net, and she played like hell. Like, it was, I'm just there's a lot of really young players on this team. Sophia Smith is another one. I expect in 4 years, when it comes time to World Cup it up again, they're going to be back and remembering this pain, remembering this defeat, and just kind of have that chip on their shoulder. And sometimes that's what you need.
Yeah,
Sometimes you need to learn to lose before you learn to win,
we couldn't get past the Deutschland over there. To Sweden or Netherlands gave it to us. In this World Cup,
Deutschland is Germany. You're talking
I'm
the
sorry,
Dutch.
the Dutch and the Neds here. So we couldn't get past them at all. So
the Dutch would be the Netherlands, and then the Swedes are Sweden.
Yeah, we lost to both of them there. So
you're getting your Scandinavian, Central European countries mixed up. How dare you?
Sorry, my brain's fried with a hot day.
Yeah.
Sam watched every single game, so I'm just curious what he. No, I'm just kidding. Did you watch any of it, Sam? Did you catch any?
I was
Twitter
working,
highlights?
man. I'm a working man. Unlike you weekend warriors just hanging out watching women's soccer. No, I wanted to watch it, but I had to work, man. I was working.
Oh, good. I get it. U.S. Men's national team here. Now we're going to the men's here. Finally, so it looks like Arsenal turned down Matt Turner, right? So he's going to Nottingham Forest. Is that correct? Do I have that correct?
Yeah. They Nottingham Forest bought out his contract. He's going there.
Good. Yeah, I think honestly he'll be a starting goalie. It's crazy that he was like in a Premier League team with Arsenal and wasn't playing. Like he was like a second or sometimes a third string, which is wild to me. Given what we've seen at a World Cup level, I think he's one of the better goalies out there, honestly.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, he's we're still 3 years away from the next World Cup for the men. So yeah, I mean, he locked down the position basically in the last couple of months leading up to the World Cup, and if he can continue to improve, and if Nottingham Forest, they're not in the Premiership right now, right? I think
they got pegged down to the Championship.
They're in the Championship, yeah. So if they find themselves promoted back up, that's going to be some really quality opportunities for Matt Turner to figure it out.
So what are we thinking here between the women's and the national team? Obviously, you think the women's need a new coach, but as a personnel status, I mean, do you think
it was actually, I'm going to compare it to this past year's Warriors a little bit.
Okay.
Where you had a lot of the veterans, but then like a lot of really young players too, and not a lot of people in the middle. The captain Lindsay Horan was this was her second one. Her first time at the World Cup was the last one in 2019. So there is a big youth movement coming. A lot of the older players like Kelly O'Hara, Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan. They're probably Julie Ertz is another one, probably the last one for them. And I know Megan is getting a lot of shit from some of the fans, and I cannot disagree more with the people that were upset with her. Like she had not missed a penalty shot in 5 years, so
yeah,
her taking one of them, it makes total sense for her. And then they were talking about like she was laughing or whatever, and it's more like a laugh of disbelief. Like, I can't believe it. I haven't missed in 5 years. Like, that's where like it was like as soon as she missed it, that's kind of when I knew that it wasn't going to happen. That's when I knew they lost, because somebody who is so clutch for such a long time, when she misses it, it's like Jesus. And then Kelly O'Hara hits it off of the post as the seventh person to take a shot. I was like, damn, this is. As soon as that happened too, I was like, okay, now it's officially done because Sweden put it in. And yeah. I just, I mean, I know Megan's sort of a controversial figure for some people. I love the crap out of her, and I would go to war for Megan Rapinoe, and nobody can convince me otherwise. She's an outstanding human being, and go Megan Rapinoe. And like I get pissed off at American politics sometimes, but she's not one of the reasons why. She's the one that I really wholeheartedly support. So yeah.
Well, Mike disagrees.
Yeah, Mike. That's actually why, because I saw Mike's comments, and I just wanted to say I disagree with you, sir.
I think like you said, there's a youth movement. It'd be interesting to see what we're looking at in 4 years. I think, in all honesty, the men's team is probably a little further along. They look to handle, the CONCACAF pretty handedly. I will admit that the B squad is a B squad, but they got further than maybe what I anticipated. So if that's your B squad, then I don't feel like that's too much of a outstretch of how far this team could actually go in the World Cup. So I'm looking forward to the next World Cup here, and we get to wake up normally. We don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. to go eat pizza and watch our team lose to guess what? The Netherlands.
No, yeah. So the next World Cup for the men being in USA, Canada, Mexico, it's going to be a lot easier on our bodies for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, we can go to a pizza place at 6 p.m. and watch a game instead of 6 a.m. So
yeah,
that's going to be nice. That's going to be nice. Yeah.
So I know we were talking about Nottingham Forest here, championship. Let's go down a couple notches here to the EFL2. Wrexham loses in their League Two debut to the MK Dons, which they're pretty favored to move on to League One this year. So they lost 5-3. The joke running around is that Wrexham scored 4 goals and MK scored 4 goals. Unfortunately, one of Wrexham goals was an own goal to start off the whole entire match. So having no Paul Mullen kind of really hurts. Having that own goal to start off the match probably didn't set a tone great for them either.
He's got a couple more weeks, right? It's just it was a rib thing. So
it was a rib and a punctured lung, so it's going to take a little bit longer because he can't actually run until that's healed up all the way. So it may be longer, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month. It all depends on how it heals.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, a huge injury like Paul Mullen is going to hurt your chances at advancing again this year. Maybe they end up kind of in middle of the pack this year. I don't know. Like maybe he comes back and they just go on a tear and they end up qualifying to move on. Who knows? I mean, obviously the season literally just started, so it's a little too soon to make those kind of predictions.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't get a point, which is unfortunate, but to be fair, offensively, they look fine. They can move the ball around great. They're really good at the 1-2 passes that we got going on and moving the ball forward. Defensively, they just look uninterested in that game, which is a bit unfortunate. But they did just sign one of the top Ireland midfielders, James McLean, from Wigan Athletic. He was playing currently in the EFL1. One of the top players, top scorers for the team, top players in the league.
A few years ago, Wigan was actually at the Premiership, so
they've
fallen a little bit. Yeah, they've fallen a little bit, but
they got demoted last year. They were in the championship last year, so hey, it happens, man.
Exactly.
So he decided to join EFL2 and join Wrexham. He said that obviously the Hollywood storybook and all the fanfare that goes with it is a big reason why he signed. So. It's great to have a midfielder be a perfect guy to set up, Paul Mullen or Dansby or all the other players that they have going over there. So look forward to it. Early season, that is our A's of the across the pond over there. So we got to root for them the best we can here.
Amen.
Well, it's the A's across the pond in a different sport if they had an owner who gave a shit.
See, that's the thing. They're what the A's could be under the next owner. If if John Fisher ever sells, they were absolutely the A's.
But before we get to the A's, I want to get into this Pac-12.
Absolutely, that was literally next on the
rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go for it.
All right, so rest in the most peace to the Pac-12. Let's start with that. USC and UCLA agreed a while ago that they were going to go join the Big Ten. Colorado, a couple weeks ago, agreed to join the Big 12. And then this past weekend, basically, it all started crumbling down. Oregon and Washington agreed to join the Big Ten on Friday. Arizona State, and Utah, they applied to join the Big 12 on Friday, and they got approved over the weekend as well. So only leaving Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington State in the Pac-12. And as of this, I literally got an update this afternoon at lunch. The ACC is looking into the possibility of adding Cal and Stanford. They're kind of kicking the tires on that a little bit. Of course, the ACC is the Atlantic Coast Conference, meaning all the teams are on the Eastern Coast, which would absolutely fucking suck. I don't like honestly the if Cal and Stanford can't find a way to get into the Big Ten or the Big 12, they're gonna be screwed completely. Like going forward, I heard like something about Cal has hundreds of millions of dollars tied up in like in debt from from athletics and stuff, and not just football, but like all of them together combined. So if they don't find some power conference money soon, like that bubble may pop, and there might, I mean, I don't know what happens. Maybe they lose all of their athletics entirely, or maybe an earthquake happens on the Hayward Fault and they lose their stadium because the stadium rides right down the middle of the fault.
Excuse me, sir. That stadium's been updated to withstand an 8.2 earthquake.
That's great. That's great. But
according to them,
we'll see if that actually stays true. Sam, there's your calendar. There's your update. Now let's dig into the meat of it. Sam, let's tag you in.
I just find it absolutely disgusting that one of the reasons why the Big 10, Big 12 didn't want to have Stanford and Cal join was because of the attendance problems. So there was an article I sent you guys, and there were some paragraphs in there that one of the reasons why Cal and Stanford wasn't offered to join another conference was because of their attendance problems, because nobody watches their games. So, I mean, this has been 10, 15 years of the commissioner of the Pac-12 just completely mismanaging this. You created a Pac-12 network and you couldn't get it on any cable networks. You had to buy the Pac-12 as a standalone. In the age of streaming, like you were one of the first conferences to get there and you still fumbled it. But then it's Disney, man. ESPN, Fox Sports, they absolutely gutted this conference. All of this money is from streamers, is from ESPN and Fox Sports. So maybe, it's just gross. 108 years of history gone.
The Conference of Champions.
Gone. Stanford has the most, the most Olympians produced all across sports, the most championships all across sports. They don't, maybe not like, football championships, but combined in all the different types of athletics. Stanford and Cal produce many championships. Cal has just been a financially misran athletic program for 20 years?
Thereabouts, at least. Yeah.
It's been, I'm not even the biggest college fan. And the problems that have been coming out of Cal and Stanford has been going on for years and years and years. So as much as I hate the corporate greed, we're in the apex of capitalism. Is tradition don't matter. The past history don't matter. Even if Stanford and Cal join the ACC, you still have these coaches and the commissioners of the conferences, the NCAA, that are still got their panties in a bunch about students being able to make money off of their own likeness, but it's okay for the universities to take the bag. And Deion Sanders did an interview last week where he said it's all about the bag. You can't get mad at the athlete if the university is going after the bag. So I just find the whole thing to be disgusting. I find it to be gross that the NCAA, head football coaches and basketball coaches and coaches of all these leagues say it's absolutely wrong that student athletes are getting paid, and they should do it for the tradition and the honor of playing for their state or university, but it's okay to abandon 108 years of tradition and history and take the biggest bag. It's the biggest, talking out both sides of the mouth. It's, so I'm totally pro student athlete. Get all the money you can get. I just find it absolutely appalling and disgusting that this conference is gone and they're completely gutted by the media. This was clearly a media streaming deal because that's how all these colleges are getting their money. And it just shows that in other sports, ticket sales don't matter. It doesn't matter about who shows up at the gate. It's all about streaming. This is why the A's are going to go to Vegas. They don't care if you show up or not. It's leading to a new streaming deal where you're not going to watch baseball on TV as you do now. It's going to be on MLB TV. So we've talked about it for a long time that as these RSNs are going away, MLB TV is moving in, and this is just another example of what's going on. So it's just corporate greed at its finest, and it's disgusting. And the people who are going to pay for it are the student athletes, the fans. You're going to have a student athlete from Cal travel a basketball season and play on the East Coast and totally miss out on a college experience and have to do his test with the proctor at another university or some lab and take classes on the road. Because it's just nonsense. It's just nonsense all the way around.
Not only that, but like a lot of families, like somebody that goes to Cal, maybe their family lives in, I don't know, Modesto or Sacramento or something. Like, you can drive from those places to get to Cal within a couple of hours. Or even like if they go down to USC to play a game, you can drive down to LA for a weekend and see your kid play. You can't drive across the country that quick. I mean, like, you'd have to pay for flights or whatever to see your kid play. And to see regular conference games, and especially if Cal and Stanford end up in the ACC, they'd be the only two West Coast schools in the ACC.
It's destroyed. I mean,
like,
it's not
literally
just
every road trip, they would be on the East Coast, every single one of them. And it's disgusting. And I'm livid. I mean, like, it's Cal, sad. Like, I've been a Cal fan forever. Like I got all kinds of like Cal shirts and socks and sweatshirts. And this is, I'm livid. That's what I am. I'm fucking pissed.
No, it's terrible, man. And it's not just the Pac-12 schools going east. It's the same thing for the East Coast kids coming west. Mm-hmm. I mean,
absolutely.
It's a two-way street. So now you're going to have these kids that play in the ACC. They're going to deal with the same problems that the Pac-12 has, where they're going to have to come west. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense from a scheduling. It doesn't make sense from a regional rivalry. The whole purpose of why you tune in to college sports is just completely null and void. Now it's clearly being geared for a television audience. It doesn't matter who shows up. That's what they're saying. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, who's gonna go watch UCLA and Rutgers play like every year? Like who's making that road trip every other year or whatever it is? Like, and then college basketball or football, it's ridiculous.
You got the schools going into the Big 10 and Big 12. I mean, honestly, do you really in football? Do you really think Arizona State is going to be, or Utah going to be competing in the Big 12?
That's what Utah, I was saying. Maybe,
it's like
maybe
Arizona.
They're joining the conference to go 6-6. You know what I mean? Like,
the Arizona schools for sure. Yeah,
you're taking the bag. Yeah. You're not even going to compete. You're basically saying we're going to take the bag and we're going to be mediocre in this conference. We'll see what happens, but we got the biggest pay. We got a bag.
And also, they're not even getting a full share of the bag either. They're like, at least not until the new, contracts come up like in 10 years or whatever.
They get a slice.
They're getting like half of it or whatever the hell the number is.
Yeah.
60%. I'm not even sure, but they're not getting a full share. Like when they start playing in these leagues next season, that's another part. If you're a Cal, like Cal's or Stanford's head coach, you start recruiting now.
Right.
And if you can't tell them, hey, where we're playing next year, how can you go to a kid's home and say, hey, this is the plan going forward when you don't know what the plan is? Nobody knows what the plan is until they get this settled. And if I'm like the head coach of like Cal or Stanford, if they don't have an answer by the end of next week, I'm looking for a way to get the hell out.
Yeah. If you're Stanford or Cal, you're already having trouble recruiting. Your program is already having issues. Cal's having financial problems that we talked about earlier. They've been having these problems. This is like you said, Vince, this could be the death of Cal sports because they're already having financial problems. They're having trouble competing. Their basketball and football program haven't been very good for a number of years now. So how are you going to sell kids that, hey, come to Cal, you're going to get a great education and you're going to play all your games on the East Coast, especially if you're like a baseball player or a basketball player or something
gymnast. If you're a gymnast,
gymnast, something that plays
water polo,
something that plays, football. There's 12 games a season, not including like bowl week. There's like 10 to 12 games a season. So 10 to 12 weeks. And then there's like, they take a winter break and then they get into the bowl week. But baseball, basketball, you have games, you have more games. So now you're on the road even more. And those students are going to be missing out on the entire college experience, So the whole thing has just become corrupt. The whole thing is just the wheels have come off the bus.
If you're going to sell to a kid, your only selling point is this: come to Cal. It's one of the most prolific colleges in the country.
I don't know what prolific is.
Prolific. I'm sorry. Colleges, but that's your only selling point. That's your only selling point. That's it. That's all you have. You can't. Yeah. You are. If you're Cal, you're Wrexham right now. What I mean by that is that you ain't getting Premier League players. You ain't getting Championship League players. You're getting League One, League Two, and maybe some National League players. That's the level of talent.
Colorado is a sexy pick right now because of Dion, and he's like recruiting his ass off.
Yeah,
but, Dion leaves. You think Colorado's going to compete in the Big 12? Really?
No.
Yeah,
once Dion goes.
13 years ago, Colorado left the Big 12 to join the Pac-12. They're the Pac-10. Colorado is the reason why it was called the Pac-12. Colorado and Utah, they joined because it was the Pac-10. Those two schools joined. They rename everything the Pac-12.
It's a mess. Now what the selling point is, if these colleges get the bag, it's possibly upgrading their sports facilities and stadiums, which then says, hey, student, maybe you're not going to be the starting quarterback at USC, but you're going to be the starting quarterback at Arizona, and we're going to help you get that big bag to sign, to sell your image. So that's what it's going to come down to is, it's a semi-pro. It's truly, fully a semi-pro league. You're going to have student athletes get paid. It's just, what's the point of it being academic or student athlete? There's no point anymore. There's no point.
There was also the rumor that like after a meeting over the weekend, before the before the Big 10, before the Big 12 schools, Arizona State, Utah, they actually asked if everybody could join the Big 12 except for Oregon State and Washington State. So it sucks to be those schools, especially. I think that those two schools in particular probably fold into the Mountain West Conference pretty easily. If there is a merger, the Mountain West makes the most sense because then you'll have San Diego State. So, but it's not a power conference anymore. The money for Mountain West versus a power conference, it's nothing. We're talking 30 million to 4 million. You're getting fucking nothing by going to the Mountain West. If
I'm any of these West Coast teams, I'm not joining the ACC. That's a logistics nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
If I'm Cal and Stanford, I am trying hell to get and I know these two schools have a rivalry, but you got to basically work together for both of you to get into either the Big 12 or the Big 10. But right now the Big 10 doesn't sound interested, and neither did the Big 12 at this point either. And it's because, like you said, it's about the football. They don't give a shit about anything else. Other sports. They don't care about the academics, because if the academics mattered, Cal and Stanford would have been the first two grabbed up. After
it's all about
UCLA
football.
And Southern Cal.
Football's king. It's all about football.
If it's football and nothing else. They don't care. And if you did care about championships in any other sport, like you said, Cal and Stanford, they have more Olympians and championships than in a bunch of the other sports than fucking any other university. Like, you know, head to head, draw it up on a map. Fucking Katie Ledecky's still winning, like was winning medals for Cal for fucking ever, man.
I think
Tiger Woods went to Stanford. He won his first master while he was still there at Stanford. Like, God.
The only I can think that Cal is probably dominated is probably swimming.
Women's sports, particularly like across the board.
Swimming.
Soccer, they've done well.
Shout out
Morgan
rowing.
was there.
I know quite a bit of rowers.
Crew. Yeah.
But when I think of rowing, I think of honestly, I think Ivy League. That's what I think. I think Stanford too, but I think Ivy League though. When I think of rowers, you know, but I think swimming, a lot of coaches for the Olympics, some of them coached, a good majority of them coached at Cal. You know, a lot of the swim team actually went to Cal. So that's like the only thing I can think of.
I mean,
volleyball.
Do you call Fresno in Hawaii, and do you San Jose? I mean, what do you do? Do you promote? Because for Fresno State, that'd be like a promotion.
Yeah, it's a promotion for like that's why like
all of them
the top, like that's why some talking heads are talking like a merger makes the most sense, especially with Oregon State and Washington State joining the Mountain West.
I mean,
maybe
what
it's
the
like
fuck happens to the Rose Bowl?
Yeah. Actually, I did see an article on this. Here's your answer with the Rose Bowl. It doesn't matter anymore because the next 2 seasons, the Rose Bowl was going to be like folded into the college football playoff anyway. And so then after these 2 seasons coming up, it'll just be a permanent part of the college football playoff, and it doesn't matter what schools play there.
Let's say the Pac-12 goes to the Big Ten, and then or the Big 12. Let's say Stanford goes to the ACC. What happens to the Axe game? Is that like not a rivalry?
It don't
anymore?
Matter. It's gone.
It's either that or it becomes a week 0 game where you play in fucking August. I don't know. Like it's a non-conference schedule game. Like you'd have to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'd be willing to do it because you get crazy attendance. Like that's the most attended game every year for both colleges, you know?
Well, we'll keep updated onto it. I got to move us along here. We've got like I said, a packed show today. Pack. There was no pun intended. I promise.
I'm gonna go scream into a pillow now. Excuse me.
we'll keep you updated as the weeks go on to figure out what's happening with this whole situation here. But let's jump on into it, Vince. We're gonna go into the sweet baseball. We're getting down to the dog days of summer here. So if you could, Vince, hit me up with some scores here.
All right. So I'm going to read both the A's and the Giants scores before we move on. It makes sense because they played each other this past weekend. So the A's started the week 0-3 versus the Dodgers. They lose 7-3, 10-1, and 8-2. Not close at all. The Giants started the week going 3-1 against Arizona. They dropped the first game 4-3, but then they win the next 3, 4-3, 4-2, and 1-0. And then they play in Oakland, and the A's win both of those games. 2-1 and 8-6. Both games were very like popularly attended. Like a lot of people showed up. So the A's are 32 wins and 80 losses, 5th in the AL West, dead last in the American League by 3.5 games. If they win out, they finish above 500. So no. I couldn't even finish the thought.
You know, though, I am impressed by the Giants, though. Although I'm not impressed by them losing to the A's, but
they're 61-51. They're second in the NL West. They're back by they're 4.5 games back of the Dodgers, but they are tied for first in the NL wild card with the Phillies. So
I know Daniel's listening, but the Giants are giving your team some heat, and I know I just saw that the Dodgers beat the Padres again today, so I think they split that series 2-2. So should be fun, man. If you're a Giants fan, this is what you look for with the dog days of summer. You come in rolling hot into September and you run the table, but we'll see. Coming down to the wire on that one for sure. I have some little quick A's news here. Looks like the summer sale continued. So I think they did the 5th inning again in the protest
on Saturday. Yeah,
it was loud. Yeah,
it was super loud.
Yeah, and the cowards, when they did the game replay, they cut that out. They cut the 5th inning out.
Of course.
When they did the 2-hour replay, you can't have that.
Did you see the? There were some folks on Twitter that were doing side-by-side comparisons of the A's broadcast and the Giants broadcast.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
The Giants broadcast, you can clearly hear the sell the team, and the broadcasters gave it, they let it breathe.
Yeah.
They let it go, and they commented on it, and they, as did the Dodgers announcers.
Yeah, the
and
Dodgers did. Yeah.
Hey, these fans are upset. You're hearing it here at Dodger Stadium, and there's some unity going on. The A's broadcast, you could clearly tell that they tried to lower the stadium noise. And, the A's announcers kind of try to speak over it, not acknowledge it. But I don't know how the media contracts works. I know they're not directly employees of the A's, but I'm sure the A's have a lot of influence on NBC Sports. From what I understand, they're NBC Sports employees. But Brody Brazil brought it up during his post game. He talked about it. He was showing a lot of images. There was Juan Toscano Anderson showed up at the game, got a sell T-shirt. So he was on Twitter sharing, sell the team stuff. So it was a great weekend. It was obviously great to see a couple of winning games and win the series and win the little Bay Bridge trophy. That was kind of cool. But yeah, just keep the heat on MLB baseball and John Fisher. We talked about it on the text, but it was great. Right when you texted that, Tyler, about John Fisher is banned from that coffee shop in Tahoe. I was reading that article maybe a few minutes before then. So that was pretty cool. So if you guys haven't seen it, John Fisher got banned from a coffee shop in northern Lake Tahoe. Yeah, apparently he has some property not too far from there where he resides, so he's not allowed. So.
Yeah, it's not just him; it's also Rob Manfred and Bud Selig as well.
Yes, true. I also I want to touch base on one more thing about the A's news, but Daniel, I know you're listening. Fuck the Dodgers organ player. So there's
what did he do? Why are we bringing this up?
There's news. There's like audio and video of news coming out that the organ player, who normally, has fun at things, pokes things, with the whole Kershaw thing and whatnot, has a great time with it. But when the A's were down there, the organ player decided to play Viva Las Vegas on the organ. So thought that was a little bit in poor taste given the nature of what's happening. So shout out to the Dodgers fans, actually, who came in unison with the A's fans, but fuck the organ player. So, all right. Anyways, Ramon Laureano got DFA'd by the A's and was picked up by the Guardians. I said it right this time. I didn't say their band name anymore. Yeah.
The former name.
So that's unfortunate, but I'm happy for Laureano.
Too bad Ramon Laureano wasn't claimed a few days before when he would have joined Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
We know Laureano's got that dog in him. He's right.
Jose Ramirez is gonna have a dog.
All right, let's do it.
Back.
Let's talk about this. Tim Anderson.
The punch heard around the world.
Yeah, he's suspended 6 games. Jose Ramirez 3 games for a brawl that happened. I believe it was Saturday, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was Saturday. And he got an absolute haymaker to the chin and just clocked out.
He crumpled. Yeah. Jose Ramirez absolutely slept him, man. It was kind of wild. Like Tim's like, he dropped the glove. He was like, he put the Dukes up, man.
He started it.
He started it, but Ramirez finished it, man. That was wild. 2-piece and a biscuit, Daniel says in the chat. He got knocked out and got the most games. Literally in the doc. It feels like double punishment almost. Like you're getting ripped for eternity in meme form, and you're getting 6 games.
I love everybody was he level 10 F around, and level 10 you gonna find out.
The graph,
the chart.
But it doesn't end there. So now it's come out that there's even more drama in the White Sox, which all 3 of us had the White Sox pretty highly touted beginning of the MLB season.
Last year, not this year.
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah. So now it's coming out that a former pitcher, Kenyon Middleton, who now plays for the Yankees, saying that the club has no culture or discipline. Rookies are sleeping in the bullpen. Players are missing meetings, missing PFPs with no consequences. So you've got rookies sleeping in
What's
the
a PFP?
player field practices or position field practices is the correct term of it. So you've got rookies sleeping in the bullpen and you've got shortstops sleeping in the middle of the game. So it's pretty wild out there in Chicago right now. Also, three players that have been announced for it is creating to this negative culture. Yasmani Grandal, Yoan Moncada, and Eloy Jimenez. I don't know if these are true. I don't know if we're just picking them because they're the three best players on the team. And apparently, and allegedly, I should say as well, Yasmani Grandal was in some news because he was not in the lineup the day before the All-Star break and wanted to leave early to start his All-Star break. Tim Anderson said, I quote, "Fuck him. If he doesn't want to be here, I'll pay for his flight." After the game, Grandal walks over to Tim Anderson, who's in this ice bath, and proceeds to slap Tim Anderson in the face. So Tim Anderson's not having a good week. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
Now
the news cycle is really coming down his road right now, and apparently he can't take the punch. He can't take a hit.
Oh my god!
Thank you, Daniel, for catching my sleeping comment. I appreciate that. So yeah, if you're Tim Anderson, you should just turn off social media for the next 6 games. Just be nowhere near it.
Yeah. I would just.
Yeah, White Sox fans were coming hard at him. They were like not having it. Tim Anderson squared up like he was about it, and Jose Ramirez dodged every single punch. And I mean, he went out. He went like he fell out of frame. Oh,
there was a video of his teammates trying to walk him off the field, and he was still, noodle legs. So, he was.
And then what's his name
stars.
got hurt? What's his name got hurt and like limped off the screen.
It's all bad. Yeah, I would say if you are a MLB owner, I would argue that these players together are not great, but they might be good separated. So Chicago's going to blow it up. You might as well pick you have to. You might as well pick which one out of the yard sale you want.
You just wish this maybe would have happened like last week, so you could have traded some people sooner than later.
Yeah,
man. What Tim Anderson's highlight is the Field of Dreams game, and then he hit that home run ever since.
Yeah, but I mean, I wonder how much was it because culturally that place sucked, so everything out of it sucked. Like
I don't know,
how
man.
bad was it?
Was he part of the culture? Because it seems like
could been.
Seems like he's kind of at the head of the spear where it comes to the nonsense that this franchise is having on and off the field.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to blame him, but when they got their head coach who got a little upset about hitting home runs when you're up 12-1, I feel like the culture kind of just went out the window, and then what was that? Listening.
What was that rookie? He was kind of a late bloomer rookie, and he was I think it was about that home run, and he had a great rookie season, and then
he got picked up by the Giants last year, but I don't know what he's doing now.
But he's never rebounded to the level that he was hitting at.
And then I can't remember the kid's name. But yeah, Luis Robert is another one that's probably going to be shipped off at this team. This whole team's getting blown up. I mean, whole team. Yasmani Grandal, Yoan Moncada, Eloy
when Tony
Jimenez,
La Russa like disciplined that rookie or second year player and sent him to the minors, and you need to think about what you did, and just totally destroyed that dude's mental makeup, because he never bounced back after that. I mean that, and then Tony La Russa was like caught drunk driving or something. Like what?
Yeah.
I mean that's like on brand for Tony La Russa, though. Unfortunately,
sad.
Yeah, it's rough to be a Chicago White Sox fan. So it's also kind of rough to be a Cubs fan too.
We don't have this on the show, Doc, but just real quick, just Bruce Bochy, a guy who retired and came back. Man, he has the Rangers playing their asses off. Yeah, they look good, and then they make these big trades. So
Coach knows how to how to get a team to work together, man, for sure.
If they get into the playoffs, feeling. If they get into the playoffs, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame manager for sure.
Oh,
he's gonna have to wait a little bit longer because he came out of retirement, but they got they got some pitching now, and going into a playoff series, who better than Boch to manage a bullpen and a starting staff? So they could be very dangerous. And they got that new dome stadium, so it ain't like the ballpark in Arlington where it was just a
No jet
home run
streams.
derby. So they're able to pitch. So man, I think we all expected the Rangers to be a little better because of Bruce Bochy and his staff that he assembled there, but I don't think anybody saw them being this good this fast. So shout out to the Rangers and Bruce Bochy.
Yeah, man. I got the team
Yeah,
playing
you
good.
can get him
He's
to
a
play.
competitor.
You can get him to play. Yeah, pull on the strings.
I don't like Texas because I don't have Amici's pizza.
He's a horse.
All right. Well, going from drama to possibly another drama-filled San Jose season here, Erik Karlsson is no longer a Sharky.
It's fine. It has finally happened. The trade has gone through. Erik Karlsson has been traded to Pittsburgh in a 3-team deal with Montreal. Pittsburgh is also receiving Rem Pitlick, Dylan Halamuk, and San Jose's 2026 third-round draft pick. Some of these European names are real hard to say. Sorry, guys. San Jose acquired Pittsburgh's 2024 first-round pick, a top 10 protected, Michael Granlund, Jan Ruda, and forward Mike Hoffman, who the Sharks actually traded for and had him for a day back in 2018 before he got shipped off. I think it was in the Karlsson trade, maybe? It was.
I think it was.
Yeah, so so that's kind of interesting. Sharks legend Mike Hoffman coming back home after being here for 3 hours last time. He's gonna stick with the team a little bit longer this time around, I believe.
I don't know if
Montreal-
Daniel's booing us because of the Sharks trading to Pittsburgh or because we're talking about Bruce Bochy, who is clearly the Dodgers' daddy.
They're actually going up. The Giants and the Dodgers are. I mean, the Giants and they're playing. Just to backtrack a little bit, I think they're playing the Rangers this week. Yeah, they got 3 at the Angels and then home for Texas. So Bruce Bochy's coming home. Interesting. Okay. Anyway,
Wow.
Back to the hockey trade. Here's the big part of the trade. The Sharks are only going to retain $1.5 million yearly salary of Karlsson's contract. The other 10 is being covered by Pittsburgh. So
Yeah.
Pittsburgh
That's
already
the
was
big-
cash strapped, and San Jose just freed up a ton of money.
Yeah.
That's huge. That was the big goal for the Sharks. They freed up 10 million of the salary, and they got a first round pick out of it. So
Because there's 4 years left on Karlsson's
4 years
deal,
left,
so
yeah,
they freed up 40 million.
exactly.
So, and
Huge.
the NHL cap hasn't really gone up over the few years, very marginally. It's not.
I think it's supposed to go up in
escalating.
2 years. It's supposed to go up again, but it's like nothing to the
it's
level.
not
what you
really
see in other
going up
sports.
that much, though.
It's kind of leveled off. It didn't go up at all through the pandemic, obviously, but but they didn't lower it either. So they kind of just held steady, and I think it's going to hold steady and maybe raise just like a couple million every year the next couple of years. So it's not expected to rise dramatically, which means what you have right now, that's kind of what you're planning on going forward, at least for the immediate future. And to free up $10 million, man,
I think they
that is
probably
huge. That's why I like this trade.
they
I
probably
don't-
could have got
yeah.
more, but then they're going to have to eat money. And I think the Sharks
Yeah.
said, we'd rather have a clean salary cap. We get the 1 draft pick, we get some players,
Yeah.
but now we got some capital to sign some free agents, sign some of our own guys if that comes out. But yeah, $40 million over 4 years is huge in a cap league that doesn't really grow right now.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
huge. So that's
Yeah.
definitely the crown jewel of the trade is that cap
I also
space.
wouldn't be shocked though that the Sharks don't pick up any free agents within this year or next year because their top draft pick that they just drafted and a couple other players, you're looking about a year, 2 years, maybe 3 at max. Hopefully not, and hopefully 2 is
the
the cap.
plan is like 2 or 3 years from now to be really in it, to win it.
Yeah.
So
I would
Yeah.
say that like in 2-3 years, free agency comes up, a couple of big name stars are going to be free agents, and the Sharks got money. And if they can ride the bench for a couple seasons
Yeah.
you might see something good. You might see something
Also,
in the next 2 years.
they got room to play with some expiring contracts too during the
Mhm.
trade deadline as well. So, you can help, like free up even more money,
Yeah,
and
take
really go
on.
after you can take on some contracts that are about to expire, and
Mhm.
that'll really help you out in the long term as well, freeing up more money. So that'll be overall. A lot of people online are hammering this trade, and they say like the Sharks got like a C- grade is what I'm seeing a lot of, a C-. I think it's probably about a B-, B-, somewhere around there. Obviously, I would have loved to have gotten a lot more for Carlson, but the fact that you got a full season out of him without any major injury, and he
Yeah.
absolutely went off in that one season as he's on the back end of his prime. He's not on the back end of his career yet, but he's probably got 1 or 2 more years left.
Because he's
of
what, 33,
prime.
34,
He's
something
33
like.
right now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you got a couple more years of prime Carlson. And I'm fine with this deal. This
Yeah.
absolutely, it makes
I,
sense.
I think they're
And
hammering on what we got back, right?
yeah,
But in reality, this isn't for this year or next year. This is for future.
yeah,
So
this is
I agree with you.
next
I think this is
4.
more of a B than anything else.
Yeah, I feel comfortable calling this a B trade.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna give it a
Yeah,
letter
next
grade.
year it's lottery protected, so it's not going to be it's protected top 10.
Top 10, yeah.
So you're going to have a first round draft pick. You got your first round draft pick, so you might have you know, it seems like they're putting together some decent draft classes, so you're going to be able to keep adding to the youth movement. So I think it's a pretty solid trade, but like I said, in a league that's a cap league, and it's not growing exponentially. How are you going to protect your cap is get rid of that debt. And like you said, Vince, you could take on an expiring contract. So, you could take somebody this season at a trade deadline, but you could probably, okay, we're going to take this bad contract for this year. It's going to expire at the end of the year, but maybe you get another draft pick or a young promising player with it, So there's potential down the road, and I think the Sharks have shown that I think I like the plan. I like how they're building this thing. It seems like it's being
Yep.
built for the long
This
haul.
this is the first like major rebuild this franchise has ever had to do, and
Because they've always been in it. They've always been in it.
Yeah.
Going after
Yeah,
players.
they've made the playoffs in 85% of their their existence. So I mean, they're always at least making the playoffs, if not like a serious contender. So the last couple of years, it's been obviously a little bit rougher, but I'm pleased to see like some of the moves that they're making. They make sense.
Yeah, I
if
think
you're looking at a rebuild, it makes sense what they're doing, and as long as they hit on these draft picks that they're acquiring, you don't got to hit on every single one of them, but you better hit on the top ones at least. And
let me turn it around though, because the Penguins get Erik Karlsson. They still got Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
From what I understand, this is the first time they didn't make the playoffs in a number of years. So what does this do?
Since Sidney Crosby's been on the team, yeah.
Yeah. So what does this do for them? How does this elevate?
It puts them
the
right back into the playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, they're not Stanley Cup favorites because you still got to beat Nashville and Florida and
well,
and
Nashville's a Western Conference team, but
I mean Florida and you got to beat all those guys,
Tampa,
right? So,
yeah.
That's right, Tampa. That's what I was.
Tampa's who you're trying to reach for.
Yeah.
Carolina, yeah.
There you go.
Florida.
So it sounds the same, But in reality, like that's the Penguins aren't what they were maybe 4 or 5 years ago when they were like super dominant, but they're still a damn good team. I still want to see them in the playoffs. So I think this puts them first round, second round playoffs for sure. But injuries could happen. You never know. Things could change, but they definitely put them in the playoff conversation immediately.
I mean, honestly, like just things really fell off the wheels for Pittsburgh last year. I think even without Karlsson, they're probably a borderline playoff team anyway. So adding Karlsson definitely puts them back in the playoffs, probably second round at the very least. And then if you make it to the second round, at that point, part of it is who you draw going forward, and
Yeah.
See what happens
Yeah.
from there. Yeah. So I mean, and if like we said, it's the first round pick that the Sharks got for next season is top 10 protected. If the Penguins make the playoffs, they're getting that pick no matter what. So
Yeah.
in a perfect world, they make the playoffs and get eliminated right away. So that way the pick's a little bit higher for the Sharks. But you know, a first round pick is a first round pick, and there's a lot of talented players every year that come into the NHL draft, and just keep stacking those higher end picks, man, because you got to hit on those, and the more you have, the more likely you are to hit at least on one of them. So
I mean,
that's
it's a possibility they will get eliminated in the first round. I mean, the Rangers, the Islanders. I mean, to me, I'm going to segue here.
Toronto?
You're gonna love this. I think to me, hockey is the exact opposite of what we have in the NBA. The East is scary. Where in basketball, the West is scary. And speaking of the West, the Warriors preseason schedule just got announced.
That's right. Here we are.
I'm calling an audible, so I'm going to NBA here. So
that's fair. That's fair. No worries. Okay, so they have 5 scheduled games. They're gonna play the Lakers on a home and home. They're gonna 10-7 in San Francisco and October 13th in LA. Then they come back up to NorCal. They go to Sacramento on the 15th, and then a home in San Francisco on the 18th. And then on the 20th, the Spurs come to the Chase Center, and then it's NBA real games. So.
I'm excited because you know why? That last game, I think, is also San Antonio's last game.
Yeah.
So that means Wembanyama will be playing.
Wemby, let's go.
He will play, barring any kind of injuries here. So I called an audible because I knew we were going to spend time on this. Let's get right into it. The NFL is back. Like I said last weekend in some of my group chats here, last weekend was the last possible weekend of no football. It's football from here on out, baby.
That's right. Football
Hall
until
of
the
Fame
Super
game.
Bowl. Let's go.
That's true. So Hall of Fame
this
game.
is also like the painful part of football of like watching preseason and all this crap football that doesn't even matter, but it's
Yeah.
let's just suffer through this slog and get to the real deal.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame game is always a dumpster fire. Unless you're Josh Jacobs playing in it last year for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
I guess he needed the fucking reps. I don't know, man. That's fucking stupid. Anyway, so with the Hall of Fame game comes the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. DeMarcus Ware, Darrell Revis, Joe Thomas, Rondé Barber, Zach Thomas, Don Coryell. It autocorrected. It's Don Coryell. Chuck Howley, Joe Klecko, and Ken Riley were all inducted into the Hall of Fame. I didn't watch the ceremony, but congrats to those guys. Who needs to fuck, unless it's a player I genuinely care about. I'm not watching the ceremony, man. Like I watch Jerry Rice and I watch Steve Young. Like I'm not watching the Zach Thomas speech. I don't need to see it. Yeah, but good for him. Congrats, hell of a career. But at the Hall of Fame game itself, there was a little bit of a power outage. I guess Aaron Rodgers wasn't quite done with his darkness retreat. Had to bring it back in just a little bit. Maybe get the rest of the Jets on the same page as him. I don't know. All he was missing was the ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, yeah, that's definitely what he was missing for sure. Did you watch any of these, Sam? Are you interested? Are you going to draft Aaron Rodgers with your first QB pick?
Probably not.
Not unless he completely punts the position.
Yes, you can.
No, probably not.
And that's who's left in the 12th round. Like,
yeah.
I think I watched. You know how they got those condensed highlight things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just watched like a condensed version of the game in like a 5-minute thing. I love the NFL, but I really don't pay attention to preseason. It's a slog. I mean, you're watching. I mean, it's cool if you're, looking at guys that are trying to make the back end of the roster and, pick your surprises. There used to be a time that I watched every single preseason game and had to look at this player and that player and see what they're going to do. And then it just like, it's too, the squeeze is not worth the juice.
Well, you can't say that to my Eagles fans because 50,000 of them showed up for practice. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Psychopaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I would be pretty excited to go to a practice though. Like if I had the opportunity to go watch an NFL practice, I'd be pretty excited for that. So, and
Also, the Kelly Green jerseys dropped. I did not get my hands on them because they sold out in 2 hours. 2 hours. Kelly Green jersey's gone. So,
yeah.
what are you gonna do? I'll just wait until they get back into stock for the third time because I probably won't get them the second time either.
But we got the exciting matchup this weekend, right, Vince?
Yeah, Niners.
Niners.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
It's in Vegas, right?
I think it's.
I would imagine so. It sounds about right.
Yeah.
They didn't pay a multi-billion-dollar stadium to not host games there.
I think this is the first time that they're playing in preseason since since like the brawls were happening in the stands.
Yeah, that's what I was going
like
to ask
8
you.
years
Do
ago
you
or whatever.
that rivalry in the sense of brawls is what it used to be 8 years ago or so?
Absolutely not. No.
It's gone.
It was a local rivalry, and then one side of the local rivalry stopped being part of the local rivalry. So now it's just,
it's over.
It's another game. It's might as well be playing the Titans. Like,
so you're saying when San Francisco went to Santa Clara is when that rivalry? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's what it was. The team that stayed in the media market, even though they're still miles away from the city that they have on their chest or whatever. Or on
the San Francisco 49ers of Santa Clara.
Yeah.
The tech bro 49ers.
God, I'm like. I was just at that stadium, right, for the Taylor concert. I still hate that stadium. I hate Levi Stadium. It's an erector set. It's boring as shit. If you paint it a different color, it could be a different team entirely. There's nothing uniquely 49ers about it. It took them 4 years to add a 49ers like Ring of Honor or whatever. And that should be the first fucking thing you do, you idiots. And like this giant glass wall of suites that turns into a fucking magnifying glass to beat down the sun on the fans and the and I think that's the home side too. I'm not 100% sure.
It is home side.
Yeah,
that's the home side. You goddamn idiot designers! Like they wanted to build a stadium that is is good for concerts and everything else, but it's supposed to be good for football. Who gives?
But wait.
Yeah,
how good
Taylor
was the Taylor
rocked
Swift
it. Don't
concert?
get me wrong. She fucking rocked it. I love that concert. That was great. I enjoyed every second of it.
The
Long
sunset
live.
hit her just perfectly.
Yeah, actually,
it was on the home side, so football's not good. But Taylor,
the sun hasn't quite shifted yet. It was a little weird.
We're still in the summer solstice, so it was perfect. But
it's a little bit. Yeah,
to me, that stadium looks like remember Madden. You could build your own stadium.
Yeah,
and you could change
it's
the
generic as fuck.
It's just
Yeah. If you painted it blue and dropped it in the middle of Texas, that could be a Cowboys stadium. If the same thing, like if you painted it fucking.
No, you know why it would never be a Cowboys stadium? Because Jerry Jones is smart enough to build a dome.
No. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying in general, like if you took owners out of it, if you painted it green and dropped it in New York, it could be a Jet stadium.
That's fair.
Like honestly, like there's nothing uniquely San Francisco about it. And like they had to like tack on different stuff. Like there's a couple of trophies and they put a Niners helmet in the front of it. That's all generic fucking shit that you can like paint over and put in another town and it doesn't matter. It's like poorly designed.
The IKEA of stadiums.
Yeah, exactly. It's God, I hate the stadium so much. I've been to as many Taylor Swift concerts as I have Niners games at it. If I'm being honest,
that's two.
Yeah, two apiece. Yeah. I think no. I think I have been to like 3 Niners games. I take it back, but it's close. The fact that it's super close should tell you it's
what's
not
wild?
a stadium I enjoy going to.
I'm probably gonna get so much flack for this, but you know what though? Being an Eagles fan, it's a little hard to do. I've never been to a football game, not preseason. I've never been to a regular season football game.
Well, that's your fault.
I know. I wanted to go. I want to go all the time, but either it was too expensive or, nobody in my family was a Raiders or a 49ers fan at the time.
I've been to as many Oakland Raider football games as I have Taylor Swift concerts. So there's that.
How many Taylor Swift concerts have you been to?
2.
Yeah.
Makes
sense. So If any listeners want to take me to a football game, just let me know. I'll go to SoFi. I don't care.
I'm trying to
You
go
let
to
me
the
know.
Taylor concert in Toronto next year. We'll see how that works out.
I have a okay. We keep talking about Taylor, so we might as well bring up the sports thing. So,
Okay,
Taylor Swift had a concert in Southern California, and Kobe Bryant's daughter was at the concert. There was a past video of Kobe Bryant walking out with Taylor Swift. So full circle, Taylor Swift dons a hat on a certain fan member randomly every night. Correct?
It's not random, but like she gives her the hat that she wears during 22. When she sings that, she does give it to a fan. And the fan, like sometimes it's somebody on TikTok that did a dance, like created a dance, or it's somebody's daughter, like you're angling at. It's,
Yes.
like the fan is kind of chosen ahead of time. She puts the hat on him, gives him a hug, little high five or whatever. And then she keeps singing and does like 22. And it's a very sweet moment. Especially when, it's Kobe Bryant's daughter as well. It was a very, very lovely moment that not everybody in the sports world that, is going to pay attention to the Taylor Swift concert. But when that news breaks, it's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And that's great. So, you all got to see what I get to see.
Who's the ESPN analysis? Talks like he's from New York. Oh, he's from New York. Black guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Thank you, Stephen A. Stephen A. put out a video of him going to the Taylor Swift concert, and he spent a boatload of money for his daughter and her friends to go. And then he said, until you see this lady perform, he appreciates that she makes you feel good about yourself when you leave a concert. But most importantly, he brought up about the Vanessa Bryant's situation and the daughter and how wonderful it was of a moment that he got to see that as well. So still sad to see Kobe Bryant not with us anymore, but happy to see little moments like that. On that note, do you guys have anything else for the show tonight?
Yeah, Alvin Kamara got a 3-game suspension after that night, the Las Vegas nightclub incident in 2022 at the Pro Bowl.
So what happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas.
It never stays in Vegas. Like that's
have
just
you not learned from Henry
marketing.
Ruggs?
Yeah, seriously.
Ouch.
Okay, so I mean,
anything else for the night?
No,
Carson
that's
Wentz practiced today with practiced the other day with 3 different team uniforms, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, he had
What is that
the
for?
Eagles helmet, the Commander's
Was that like an audition?
shirt.
Is that
It
him
was an
trying to get a
audition.
job?
Yeah.
He's trying to remind you all that, hey, I played for these 3 teams. If you remember me sucking, here's a memory of that. I would have just gone in fucking all black.
But remember that, dude, that one year he was like probably top 2 MVP dude, and then he got hurt and then sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was top 2 because our defense was still good, and he made it all the way. I will say this:
The offensive line too.
Carson Wentz in the early years with Peterson as the coach, they were great. They did wonderful things. He took Mike Vick's job, all that good stuff. Great, wonderful. And then the wheels fell off in the organization, and Peterson didn't see eye to eye. But you're seeing that Peterson is a great coach. Look at Jacksonville as your example. Wonderful story coming out of that. But yeah, Carson Wentz got us to the playoffs. I appreciate that. But Big Dick Nick Foles got it done for us. So that's all that matters.
All right.
And that's the end of that tune.
And that's the end of that song.
All right.
Well, if you made it to Big Dick Nick Foles, you are listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell to get alerts when we go live. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SVT Sports Pod or X, whatever you want to call it. Slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with all of you guys. Have a wonderful night, guys.
Good night.
Stephen A. still a weenie.